Hey, everybody, welcome back to another live author interview. Today's special guest, Dr. Arthur Turfa, is here in the studio with me. This is Right on SC. Our author interviews are a privilege for me to get to talk to authors in the South Carolina Writers Association and here in our South Carolina literary arts community. So let's do this. All right, Dr. Turfa. We were talking about calling this doctor to doctor, but I did just tell people Casey. You can just call me Casey. How do you prefer to be addressed, Dr. Turfa?
Well, here I think Art works fine.
Awesome, good. Well, we've known each other for a while, Art. So we'll go ahead and get past all the formalities pieces. But I was reading your bio to get ready for this, and I think we have something really important in common. You're from Pittsburgh. And my book is called Before Pittsburgh. So I think we should start with the Pittsburgh piece. Tell us a little bit about your background as a Pennsylvania native. And I know you've got a background in ministry too and in military service. So bring us up to speed. Where did it start for you?
Well, it started in McGee Hospital in the Oakland section.
We're going to David Copperfield this thing, right?
Like that. Although I wasn't an orphan. But
I record that I was born.
Or I'd be like Goethe. I first saw the light in Oakland Hospital, in the Oakland section of Pittsburgh. I'm a second generation American. 3 of my 4 grandparents were born in Europe. The 4th was conceived there, but born in this country. And I grew up in outside Monongahela. I'm a Mon Valley boy. My dad was a metallurgist. My mom was a school teacher, but not teaching. She had about 2 10-year stints. And my brother and I were born in the middle. When the U.S. steel industry tanked, we ended up going to the Philadelphia area. I still sound Pittsburgh, I guess, stubbornness or I figure when if I say the right words, yins know what I mean in that.
Yeah.
But I just I don't know. I figure if you grow up speaking standard American English, there's no reason to change. But moving to the Philadelphia area was wonderful in that it gave us much better school systems. I mean, not that they were bad. We're in the Mon Valley, but they just didn't have the money for things. So we moved to Philadelphia, and that's where the name slurred Botley came to me, although he morphed into something else. Well, maybe we'll get into that later. Went to Penn State. Was a German major. Started going over to Europe for summers and study and for fun. I was in grad school in the Cal system, Berkeley and Irvine. Got a master's. Decided to go to the seminary and for German speaking for a German speaking person who accessed the family's nascent Lutheran roots. I became a Lutheran pastor in 1981 and still active. But I also like being bivocational. Hey, I'm a Gemini. What can I say? And I began teaching things. I should have stayed the full 4 years at Penn State, gotten the teaching degree, and moved on. But no, I learned slowly at times.
It's a winding path back to the classroom. Trust me. So I did it too. I took the same sort of, I don't really want to do this. It turns out I'm going to do this. Yeah. Okay.
Then I did it, but I experienced it better. And I probably was better going in my 30s as a teacher because I knew better than to side with the students and who were being oppressed and all this.
Right.
I juggled really 3 careers at school, church, military, mainly National Guard. I had 23 years I'm a retired reservist with veteran status. Most of the time was National Guard, bookended by Army Reserve. Better soldiers went to the sandboxes. I ended up being sent to Germany, which is like my second home. But I could do some good there. That's where I research the dissertation. I was able to finish that off finally, and at Drew University. We moved south. My wife's a Southerner. She was in journalism, wanted to become a pastor. She chose this Southern Seminary. We from Southern here in Columbia, and she and her son moved down with the cat. I was in Germany at the time.
With the cat. I love that little detail, that little extra detail. And they brought the cat.
Definitely. They brought the cat who did not accept me coming back. I mean, unlike Ulysses, Odysseus's dog,
right?
I joy for seeing him per Argos. I would tell my students when I taught mythology, Odysseus's cat probably looked at him, then went and threw up in someone's sandal and took a nap.
Right, exactly. The dog's super glad you're back, and the cat could care less.
Exactly. Anyway, but that's the way it was. I had started writing poetry again. Soon after I redeployed, I had a long break because I was writing lesson plans, sermons. I was doing some graduate study. And along the way, so I would read poetry, but I was reawakened by the muse. So I started writing, publishing on Google Plus. Someone was Joanne Kowalska thought some of my things was good enough to publish, and that's how the first book, Places and Times, began. That was Electio Publishing. 2015. Although if you had asked me years ago how I would make my mark as a writer, I would have said as a novelist,
right.
or as a columnist. My dream job would be to write a column.
Once a week? I don't know. I wrote a column as a sports writer. My very first job was as a columnist in sports, and it was not all it was cracked up to be. People have a lot of opinions when you write every week,
Well, especially about sports. I mean, they about keep up with local, national, regional, national politics. But
right.
They know the team. They know who should have been the quarterback. They know when you should put in the relief pitcher or not. Who should have played injured? Who should let foul out, and
who should be punished? Who should be allowed to play? People have a lot of opinions about sports. It was not as much fun as I thought it would be being a sports columnist.
Oh yeah, but my columnist, I don't know if there's any place that would have existed that I would have written something 1 week maybe about T.S. Eliot. We write something about next week about Berlin, my favorite city.
Right.
Then write something about my dog, or about,
you've done some of that on your blog. So I saw on your blog, because you've got some good conversation on your blog. It's really a lot of different ways of looking at life on your blog. So I put that link up here so people can see it.
Yeah, and I like to do it. And of course, it's synced with my Facebook pages, but I also post things, the link on the blog every so often. I'll probably get to write about maybe Charlie Watts later, though I'm more of a Beatles guy. But the Stones were good until they got into the disco.
Yeah. So you were dabbling in poetry. So I know we've got this book that we talked a lot about with the South Carolina Writers Association. You were part of our writing conversations one time with your co-author of this particular book. She's an artist, a visual artist, and you guys created this together. Right. Going back to our Pennsylvania conversation.
Right, and that's Carol Worthington Levy, whom I met in the 8th grade. We were in a reading class. I couldn't figure out why in 7th and 8th grades we were in a reading class, because we knew how to read. Read in kindergarten. But there we are, twice a week. And I remember the teacher was Mrs. Parker. She had bright red hair. She made some remark. She said something or whatever. And I turned around to the person behind me. We also were seeing alphabetically, so it was Turfa, then there were no user V's, so it's Worthington. I just sat around, made some sarcastic remark, and that's how we began to interact.
And buds ever since.
Oh yes. Yeah. She is my longest term friend. And
and then you've got Saluda Reflections, which is a chapbook, poetry, Finishing Line Press.
Yes, and Carol does my art work. She asks for my ideas. I give her something, and she rejects them and comes up with something 1,000 times better.
And after this sort of long and winding road, to use our Beatles reference, through poetry, you've landed in novel territory. You've now landed in the long fiction format here with your newest book, which is The Botleys of Beaumont County. So tell us about it.
Man, the shameless self-promotion here.
Get it? It's not shameless at all. The title of the episode is Art Turfa. It's not in any way shameless. That's the whole point here. Tell us about it.
People who know me will either hang on and watch every minute of it, or just turn away and do something else. Well, a few feet in that direction from where I sit is yellowing away a rough draft of a first novel, which never really saw the light of day. Some things have appeared in Botley, but I talked about how Slurred Botley began when I was writing for this high school newspaper, where I eventually became editor-in-chief. There was a Ronzoni pasta company commercial that had a clever series of lines about how they're going out to the main line in Philadelphia. People who were super WASP, super rich, whose family's been there since forever, and all the rest of us come in off the boat or ride the rails up there, and it's like, oh, what are these people doing here? And they had some character with the name something like J. Bryce Cadwalder IV, who'd be dressed in the blazer with some kind of crest on it, wearing an ascot, saying, "I love this Ronzoni." I never knew of it. Oh, we want Ronzoni out here in Devon, out here in Berwyn. So I thought, what a idiot. And I thought, with a Slurred Botley, I just came up with it's slurred. I just came up with. Maybe I heard somewhere in German class and twisted around. Botley just sounded like a good name for some elite patrician WASP type.
Okay.
Anyway, Sword was very clueless in these things, and in his world, people I say, well, my uncle is high spirited. But the lower class would be, oh, he's just a drunk,
Right.
Those people in the shanties are shacking up all the time. It's disgraceful. Whereas in Slurred's world is, well, they're having a liaison, they're cohabitating.
Right.
How interesting.
How provincial.
Provincial, yeah. But Slurred over the years, Slurred morphed into a much nicer guy. The book is set in the southeastern U.S. So I consider myself a Southern writer. I know wasn't born in the South. I say I was raised in the South of Pittsburgh. And I say that once in an interview, and so I've said it. But my first parish was in Mountain, Virginia. Okay. Southwest Virginia. I could see the West Virginia line from my front porch.
Nice.
I had a wonderful 3 years there. I've lived in South Carolina for 16 years. And my wife's from the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. I've traveled there. So, and every so often someone will say, well, that's not a South Carolina name. And I smile and say, either, well, I've been paying taxes, it is, or it looked very good in the uniform for you to say that. And usually it's okay. So I really want to say. I think
you can claim that, though. I think you can claim that, because the gal asked me just today. She asked me if I was from here. And I said, no, I was from Northern Virginia, but I came down here when I went to Clemson in 1995. And she goes, you've been here since 95? I was like, yeah. She goes, you're from here. I was like, but I'm not really. But as a matter of fact, it turns out I'm from here. I'm from South Carolina.
Well, I'm not from here, but I'm staying here, and I'm in no hurry. But eventually, I'll claim a space at Fort Jackson National Cemetery.
There you go. Well, before you get to that, though, we're going to do some more talking about the Botleys at Beaumont County.
Yeah, hopefully a lot more talking, not just here, but with all kinds of people. So we're in the southeastern U.S.
Okay.
And I leave it vague. I don't say Pacific State, but there's some clues. You can figure it out. They talked about mustard-based barbecue. which I love. But the Germans brought that in, by the way.
Right.
Anyway, so Slurred has he's in the family's been long and distinguished. They've been there since forever, almost, and they kind of run Marion County. The family has money, so they're Episcopalians.
Right. These two things go together.
Yeah. And it says I'm been licensed in several dioceses, and I have a great fondness. They're the closest thing to Lutherans, and we to them out there. But so Slurred was the upper class country club set. Be nice to everyone, but if they're not your people, well, you're not going to. He has a crush in high school on a young woman from the wrong side of the track, so there's no railroad in directly. But she's from a poor part of town, and he's encouraged to be nice to her, but you don't want to date her. Don't get her hopes up because you can never marry her. She says not, and she had fate intervenes and in a negative way in her life. So there's a scandal attached, so she's out of his orbit. But he marries someone his parents picked for him, and they have a nice marriage. They have 2 kids. He's a lawyer. He was in the state legislature until he was defeated by they're Republican. Well, since 1968, which is when Slurred was born, and since so many white Southern Democrats became Republicans.
Right.
So now the Botleys are Republicans, but he was challenged in there was a right-wing candidate that siphoned votes off, and he lost. Gotcha. So that ends his career, which is disgrace for the Botley family, because there's always been the Botley in the legislature somewhere. Right. And now there isn't. And his mother, Miss Eustacia, is a pearl-wearing, not pearl-clutching matriarch. And things better be done her way, or she will let you know, and she doesn't care if you're related to her or if you're a complete stranger. She will speak her mind.
So antagonist for our protagonist is his mother.
Yes. Okay. So Slurred's also he's a military man. He's in the National Guard. A Desert Storm Shield Short Storm veteran. Was in the field artillery. Went to law school. Became a JAG. Judge Advocate Group,
right?
And trying to figure out how to do things. His wife is addicted to pills.
Oh wow!
And she is the perfect wife, not a Botley wife, kind of akin to a Stepford wife. But the kids are beginning to grow up, and they don't need her as much. And what does she do? And she doesn't want to turn into either her mother or especially her mother-in-law. But that's now. Slurred's grandfather and uncle, Jeff Davis Botley, junior, senior, established after World War II a cement block plant.
Okay.
And it's run by Dexter, his young brother. Well, it's being run to the ground because Dexter's a Botley, so he gets to run it. He got through a business degree at the university. He's a nice, sociable guy. You'd love to meet him in the bar or the country club or something, or a football game. But to do business with him, you can't rely on him. But there he is, running into the ground. So he seizes on something like, if I can just get a winning lottery ticket, if I can just make a big killing at the Catawba Casino, I'll be okay. Well, that doesn't work. And he finds out the hard way it really doesn't work. So you have this going on. Then Slurred, through their children, he's reconnected with Jessica Sinclair, now Jessica Sinclair Cavendish.
Right.
Who is
the former high school crush.
High school crush who's teaching in the high school. It's not exactly the same. It's in the same system. It's a merger, a newer school. And she's married, not by choice, but to someone who has a local hardware store he inherited. The interstate passes by them by, so Marion, people is declining. The businesses, people go north and south, and it's not the happiest marriage. Right. But she and Slurred reconnect, as much for fellowship as for the sex, which does happen. It's not that graphic. So if you're looking for great descriptions, this is not the place. They meet at a local place called the Rendezvous, one of those places out of town where you park in the back so no one can see your car.
Right. But everybody knows you're there.
Well, yeah, that will come out in the book. But they meet. They watch something on the computer together. They read poetry. Sort a poet. Some of his poems come in there. Of course, Jessica, being an English teacher, loves this stuff, and they really connect. And they realize that, yeah, we just should have really dared. But they knew there was really no future for them.
So it sounds like like a second chance romance opportunity, right? And is there a happily ever after here? Would you consider this a love story that ends? You know what? No spoilers. I was just saying a love story is going to end tragically, but the romance is going to go happily ever after.
The romance says, yeah, it works out.
Okay.
It works out. Now, I don't go into great detail for that. I have a narrator who is Slurred's daughter, Ashley.
Oh. That's interesting. Why did you choose to tell the story from her perspective instead of from her dad's?
Well, one of my many friends from New Jersey, Michael Stephen Daigle, said I should, who writes the Frank Nagel mystery series, said, why don't you expand her role?
Okay.
First, so really around at the end of every chapter, or sometimes in the middle of a longer one, there's something from her journal as she sees the things, and she is enamored of Mrs. Cavendish as a teacher.
Okay.
Knows her elder daughter, who's now at the university, and Ashley also knows that something's not right with her family. It actually begins on election day 2008.
When her dad loses.
No, Dad's already lost. Begins with Slurred and Jessica are at the rendezvous and they oversleep. And it's like, oh my gosh, I have to get to school, she says. Right. And he says, I got to take Mama to vote.
Right.
Well, my wife and I voted in the Northeast Columbia. It took us almost 3 hours.
Right.
But we did. So they go into similar lines. Eustacia is just letting it fly. Because she's really not happy about things that are going on, and I think that's the election that really began to change this country and set the course for what we are now. Although it's not the one I thought it would be, because there was a reaction to it, and there's a few minor. But so Ashley is the narrator. We see her grow, and at the end is kind of like an epilogue where she talks about how things came together. I didn't spend a lot of time on that. I didn't want to write a sequel. I guess I could, but who knows? But there's a few minor characters who really carry the action. I like the way Dickens has his secondary characters in.
So classic Southern family drama with everybody having their own arcs and their own opportunities and things weaving together.
Right. Casey, it's Faulknerian, not in the sentence structure, but in the theme. Also, a heavy dose of John Updike, fellow Pennsylvanian, whom I just love for his description, the rabbit novels and short stories and anything he wrote. Yeah. With a dash of Kurt Vonnegut in there.
How long did it take you to write the Botleys of Beaumont County?
Botleys, Beaumont County. Probably about 2 years.
2 years? Okay. Well, that's not too bad for the second novel. The first novel you said you put in the drawer, right?
Like the attic, yeah.
And so then you come to the second effort and you build this one out. You've been workshopping it. You've gotten feedback on it from different beta readers. Tell us about the publishing process. What were your choices that you made, and how can people get the book?
Well, it's available on Blurb, and you can contact me directly, and I can get you a signed copy, or it's on Blurb. I'm trying to get it on Amazon. See, that works. The thing with Blurb, I can do it in Ingram or Blurb. You can't do it in either or. I'm trying to have it in the regional bookstore. Working on that. But the nice thing with Blurb, you can get right away for $7.95. You can get a PDF file.
Oh yeah.
You can read read on your device. The book's $11.99. Anyway, the publishing, everything else, all my poetry books really were on traditional publishers. Now, Accents is on Amazon KDP. That's a semi-long story we don't need to go into right now. It's interesting, believe me. And some of my hair probably went to that experience. But I shopped around. Michael said, why don't you send it to my publisher? And I didn't hear back. I was sending it out, and I'd hear, well, it's good, but I don't like the way it reads. At the beginning, I changed the beginning. Then the pandemic hit. So, and understandably, no one was doing much of anything. A few places I've been that were suggested that, or that I found to send to, change your format to only nonfiction and things like that. And I really want to get this out there. So Carol did, was usually in the cover, said, well, I'll help you do it. And she did the lion's share of the work in formatting and that, because she's really good at that. From her business background, she artistic and business background, so she was instrumental in that. But I decided to go with Blurb just because I wanted to get it out there for the world, and then move on, and then move on to some other things, because who knows? I mean, we're in pandemic 2.0 now,
right?
And I just really could be shopping around, especially a lot of people had all kinds of time to write, so probably loving publishers with more things. And I was encouraged by my beta readers that said, yeah, this is good. Each draft's better. You need to get it out there. So here it is.
Good. Well, look, I appreciate you, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about this particular novel. And I know we've been talking a little bit about book launches and what to do and where to put it and how to talk to people about it. So we're going to build some live events, hopefully, somewhere here in the Midlands for you, and get to see one another face to face before too long. Our radio go ahead. The radio show episode tomorrow morning, I'll make sure that I let people know that we've had this interview today, and then we'll have the link up on YouTube so that people can get to it and see it. And I just wish you all the success in the world, my friend. And I can't wait for us to finally get to be in person again and be doing fun stuff together and some events and things like that. So are you thinking about things like the Aiken Book Festival in November, and maybe out to Florence at the beginning of December?
I am going to be at Aiken, at USC Aiken.
Cool.
I'll be at Chris Earl Maw's thing at the Laurie Center. I can't think. What I'm thinking mainly about now is moving, because we're going to, both of us, my wife and I, will both be retired very soon, and we're moving to Red Bank.
Oh, okay. It's on the other side of the river.
Yeah, well, no, we're in Saluda County now.
So you're currently on that side of the river, but I'm currently on the east side of the river. So
where we used to be.
But
we're going into it's a very nice situation. Be closer to our son and his family, closer to a lot of things we do, and also my wife's an active pastor. I'm an interim or chalice for hire, but when the pastor retires, he or she's supposed to get out as soon as possible. And It's going to be very soon for us. But in one place I've been looking at where I would have had my launch is going to be in the process of renovation. So we don't know how long that will take. But I like to have various launches, like a launch in this zip code, a launch in another zip code. And
me too. Keep the party going, man. Let's have a launch everywhere. Yeah. So my book Before Pittsburgh takes place in a bunch of different cities. So there's like Tucson and Nashville and DC. So I'm like, you know what I think I might do is like go to each of these places and have a party in each of these
in different countries too.
Yeah. Well, Barcelona and Manila, the Philippines. So yeah, there's a couple of different, and he goes to Paris at one point as well. So yeah, you're right. He's a globe trotter. That's what Jonathan helped call him. So, well, listen, I'm going to put the title up here one more time. The Botleys of Beaumont County. People can reach out to you directly. You said you have a Facebook page, so they can get a copy of that book from you directly, and be looking forward to some events here live in person to get our copies signed. Thank you so much, Art, for being here today. I'm so glad to get to chat with you.
Likewise, Casey, I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you about writing and and things other than the SCWA, which we both love.
Yes.
But,
I will.
plan.
I'll get you out to the radio show before too long, and you and I could talk about some just literary topics, not necessarily just our own stuff. So.
Yes, it'll
All
be in November, because every Saturday between now and then is going to be packing, moving, cleaning.
Yeah, well, we've got football season coming up, man. So those Saturdays are tough on everybody.
Exactly. Well, it all depends on how Penn State does.
Yeah, there you go.
If they do well, I really care. If not, oh well.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck with the move, and we'll chat sometime soon. Thanks again. One more time, the name of the book is The Botleys of Beaumont County. It is available through Art's Facebook page. So go out to facebook.com and find Art Turfa, and we'll be seeing you sometime soon.
Or you can go directly to Blurb. Just put in Blurb and then Arthur Turfa, and it'll come right up.
Blurb./Arthur Turfa. Got it.
Right.
All right. Thanks, man. I appreciate you.
All right. I appreciate you too, and all the good things you do for all things literary.
Awesome.